You start getting into this routine and you're like, okay, get a quote out, go do the job, get paid. And you're just kind of going through the motions and you forget about what the bigger purpose is and what the bigger picture is. You don't grow without challenge. You don't grow without being a little bit uncomfortable or doing the hard things. There is no growth in just being around folks that agree with you all the time. It's so important to be in a room where you're not the smartest person in the room. Because how are you going to learn anything if you're the smartest person in the room always?
You said leadership starts with seeing people. So what does it actually look like to make people feel seen?
I think it's about recognizing their value, their potential, the dignity in them, listening to them, asking for feedback about how things are going. You can't assume that because you're the leader, you're doing everything right. And I think just giving our guys the opportunity to be at the table with us and make business decisions with us is a great way to encourage their growth as well.
This is the Clark Connection Podcast, where 12 years of coaching championships meets real-world leadership. Coach Clark broke through at the highest levels. Now he's bringing you the playbook. Every week, real leaders, real wins. Real strategies you can use Monday morning. If you're done with theory and ready for results, this is your show. You in? Let's go!
And welcome back to another episode of the Clark Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, aka The Coach, leadership speaker, trainer, and coach. Now, today's episode is about something every leader and entrepreneur should never lose sight of. People. Look, it's easy for us to get caught up in chasing results, growing a business, or checking things off of our to-do list. But what if the real key to success isn't what you do? It's about how you serve the people who are with you. So joining me today is Julia LaRose, owner of Pink Window Cleaning and Services in East Baton Rouge. We're talking about leadership, community, and why strong businesses are built on relationships. But before we do that, I gotta give a quick shout out to my amazing sponsors. The Clark Connection Podcast is powered by Coach Clark Leadership and Development. At Coach Clark Leadership and Development, we help businesses, churches, schools, and organizations develop strong leaders through leadership training, executive coaching, team building, and keynote speaking. Our mission is simple: help leaders grow so their people, teams, and organizations can too. To learn more about our services, visit CoachAClark.com. Quick question. If someone asked ChatGPT, Gemini, or Perplexity for the best company in your industry, would your business even be mentioned? More and more, customers aren't searching the way they used to. They're asking AI for recommendations. And if your business isn't showing up there, you're missing opportunities before people ever visit your website. That's where TrueScaler comes in. They specialized in generative engine optimization, or GEO, helping businesses become more visible across today's AI platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and more. If you're ready to prepare your business for the future of search, visit TrueScaler.com and learn how GEO can help your business get found where customers are searching next. This episode of the Clark Connection Podcast is proudly brought to you by Hubbard Flooring Studio. Leadership, growth, and success all start with a strong foundation. And that's exactly what you'll find at Hubbard Flooring Studio. Vicki and her team help homeowners and businesses create spaces that combine quality, craftsmanship, and style. Whether you're updating a single room, remodeling your entire home, or finishing a new construction project, Hubbard Flooring Studio offers flooring solutions and custom blinds designed to bring both beauty and functionality to your space. If you're ready to work with a team that takes pride in getting the details right, visit hubbardflooringstudio.com or call 225-924-1582. Shout out to Steadfast Electric for supporting the show. With hurricane season here, now is the time to think about protecting your home and family. BJ and his team specialize in whole home generators that keep your lights on, your food cold, and your household running when the power goes out. Learn more at steadfastelectric.com or call 225-364-9218. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Bob Smith, chiropractic internist, for sponsoring today's episode. Dr. Bob focuses on identifying the root cause of pain and dysfunction, not just covering up symptoms. If your body isn't performing the way it should, this is the kind of care that looks deeper. Learn more at brspine.com or call 225-291-2626. Dr. Bob Smith, finding the root cause, not just chasing symptoms. A big thanks to Automate Integrate Professional Services for backing the show. Andrew helps businesses simplify, automate, and integrate their systems so leaders stop wasting time on manual work and start focusing on growth. Visit automate-integrate.com or email Andrew at automate-integrate.com. Automate Integrate, systems that work so you don't have to overwork. Again, thank you so much for everything that you do. That we could not do what we do here at the Clark Connection podcast without your support. And before we jump in, be sure that you are subscribed to the show. They click that little subscribe button, hit the little thumbs up, all those things that way you don't miss out on anything else that we do with the Clark Connection podcast. And then also connect with me via social media. You can find me by searching at Coach Clark Leadership, and you will never miss any of our posts. So make sure we stay connected that way. Now, our guest, Julia, she has a background in engineering and technical sales, but today she's helping build something much bigger than a window cleaning company. She is passionate about developing young leaders and serving her community, all while creating a culture where both customers and employees feel valued. This conversation is full of practical leadership lessons that every business owner, manager, and aspiring leader can apply. So grab a pen and paper and let's jump in. Awesome. And welcome to the show, Julia.
Thanks so much for having me, Aaron.
Hey, my pleasure. I was glad you decided to get on here and wanted to tell us absolutely everything there is to know about window cleaning.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to walk us through all there is to know about window cleaning, all the mixtures, all the techniques. It'll be a super interesting episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just kind of narcolepsy. No, she said, whatever we do, Aaron, do not just sit here and talk about that. But look, the owner of Pink's Window Cleaning and Services. What exactly? Tell us about that. What is Pink's?
Yeah, sure. So we are a window cleaning service. We're in the home services industry. And so many folks ask us, why windows? And it's really not about the window cleaning or the exterior cleaning services that we offer. It's about serving people. It's about serving our community, building trust, building relationships, restoring human connection. And that is really why we wanted to bring Pinks to Baton Rouge.
Now, I love that, and as a leader, entrepreneur myself, I think that's one that people often overlook is how important it is to serve. I say that's what leadership is. It's just a fancy word for chief server.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so wanting to instill the human connection, wanting to bring stuff back. Now, I know you had mentioned like part of your journey, you're not from here. So you're not, well, and I mean, not everybody who listens to me is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but you're from the Colorado area. Let's talk about that. Colorado, what got you here?
Yeah, that is true. So born and raised in Colorado. I'm one of those rare Colorado natives. And ended up in Louisiana because I met my husband who I I met through work in my previous life and moved out. Well, I would visit Louisiana. I just fell in love with the Southern hospitality. I fell in love with the community and the welcoming atmosphere of Southern Louisiana. Of course, the food, the culture, and yeah, just wanted a change of scenery and moved down to Baton Rouge. So
Yeah.
that's
all right,
the story.
Previous life, you said. So what were you doing previously prior to this?
Sure. Yeah. So I went to school for civil engineering at CU Boulder. You may know CU because of Coach Prime. That's the only reason anyone who pays attention to SEC sports even knows what CU is, because we do have a terrible football team.
Well, it wasn't always that way. Colorado used to be an excellent powerhouse program. So I'm recovering football coach, so I know these things.
Love it. And yeah, so anyways, studied engineering, ended up in technical sales, and then that's how I met my husband, Jason. Yeah. So that's the story.
Extremely smart, because hold on. So is your degree in engineering?
It is. Yeah.
All right. So I've got to watch what I say and do now, because I am no longer the smartest person on this podcast.
Never was, Aaron.
Yeah, I was about to say, I very rarely am. Very rare. Another good thing that I think as a leader, you should try to find more rooms where you aren't the smartest person in the room. Absolutely. Yeah. Great advice. Engineering went into technical sales. Like, what were you doing with technical sales?
I was selling valves. In fact, I still do that. And then Pinks is kind of like what
I thought you did window cleaning, not sell valves.
Yeah, I live a double life, I suppose.
She's 007. We found her.
Yeah. But yeah, just we just launched Pinks back in March. So in order to keep a little stability in our life, I kept my W-2 job, and I'm still doing that while we run the business. And that's smart. That's really smart. I have no qualms. I work as the director of strategic partnership for TrueScaler, who's now one of the sponsors of the show. It's hard moving out on your own and not having that transition job. I think it's smart for you as a business owner to do that. So kudos to that. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know. I think some people would say that's smart, and some people would say like, oh, do you not have enough faith in what you're doing that you're just going to go all in? So, different opinions, but we went that's the real life of an entrepreneur. Yeah. Yeah. Most of my mentors, they own 3 or 4 different businesses. I think when you really get into it, it's all about multiple streams of income. Just my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, it's good to diversify for sure. Okay. And so you met your husband, they working in the technical field. And then, so when was the first time that you actually came to Louisiana? Yeah, I came to Louisiana for the first time probably back in 2023, I would say. So not too long ago. But yeah, like I said, absolutely fell in love with it. And that's one of the reasons, Jason and I decided to start Pinks down here is, we fell in love, are starting to think about growing a family. And when I'm sure, as a father, when you become a parent, you want to just leave your kids the best possible community that you could create for them. And that is something that, one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to bring Pinks to Baton Rouge, because we just want to build a community that we feel good about having our kids grow up in. And Pinks is a great way to do that.
Oh, I agree. And I love that you said you're wanting to bring back some of that connection in the community. And I know that was one of the things that I loved. Like first time I love y'all's outfit. That very
very
old
nostalgic,
school.
very
It is.
1950s. Yeah.
But it fits in line with everything you're saying. Like, I want people to connect and build that legacy.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah. We want people to, get back to a time where they really were served by their service people. And I mean, went above and beyond, and just felt overwhelmingly taken care of, trusted folks to be in their house, and where you felt like the folks that were taking care of your household were your neighbors, and you saw them at the grocery store, you saw them at church, you saw them around the area, and you have this real camaraderie. And so that's kind of what we're trying to get back to with Pinks. That's kind of the whole idea with Pinks.
Yeah. And one thing that you'd said, because I get everybody to fill out a questionnaire, you talked about your grandfather having and being one of the biggest influences on your life. Like, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you learned from him, and how he shaped you to lead?
Yeah, so that's kind of a cool story. You were asking me, how did a Colorado girl end up in Louisiana? And one of the things about my grandfather, he actually was born in New Orleans originally, grew up in Biloxi, and attended Ole Miss for school. And one of the stories about him that I love is that he ended up arriving on his first day of school at Ole Miss, and they had no record of him being a student. And he was a long way from home. He was like, well, I still want to go to school here. So they figured it out for him, got him a cot. I can't remember if they set him up in the gymnasium or the cafeteria, but, he just kind of took it on the chin. And I think he was probably on that cot in the gym for a few weeks until they found him a dormitory that he could be in. But he just immediately started creating community. And that's one of the leadership lessons that I love about him. He didn't take that as a setback. He immediately started making friends with janitors, cafeteria workers, students, other faculty, started building community. And before you know it, he was involved in ROTC and the band and all the fraternities that he could be a part of. And he did the student dance committee organizing back in the 1920s. And he was on newspaper, on the debate team, just like in every single community on campus that you could think of. And he was eventually elected as student body president. And so, yeah, I just love that story. It's
so, like, when did he go to class?
Yeah, great question.
Let's just list what he didn't do.
Yeah. I don't know how good of a student he was, but I know he was really admired by students and faculty alike.
And see, I have such yes, I went to school. You went to school. I've got my bachelor's degree, but it's one of those things that I think as a society, we've put way too much weight on. Like, go and get a bachelor's degree, because I'm sure your grandfather learned more working, they helping organize dances and working with the janitors and helping to do stuff in the cafeteria than he ever learned sitting in a classroom. Like, all right, and here is how photosynthesis works.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think, again, it all goes back to community building. And, the lessons that he learned from being at school, the lessons I learned from being at school it was just about building out your network and, meeting people, building relationships, and figuring out how to make the most of those. So, if there's anything college is really good for these days, I feel like it's that. But you don't need college for that,
No.
Yeah. And I know you've talked to some of your previous folks that have been on the podcast about that. I don't know that it's so necessary these days. There's so much education that can be done through self-learning and, reading and, of course, online. But yeah, you gotta get out there and build relationships. That's the biggest thing.
If you're getting value from today's episode, take a second to like, follow, and subscribe to the Clark Connection podcast so you'll never miss a future conversation on leadership, growth, and success. Let's dive back into today's topic. Oh yeah. I used to get a kick. My grandfather used to say all the time, he was like, son, there's only about 3 people that I work with I want to know that went to school. My doctor, my lawyer, and my accountant. He said the rest of the people couldn't care less.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yep. Engineering school taught me a lot of problem solving, but, could I recall Bernoulli equation? No.
You don't remember that one?
No.
Hey,
Do you remember that one?
I got to ask my assistant, Chatty. She keeps records for me. Yeah. I'm waiting for her to give me the results. I know it's in one of those files.
Everything's just in your pocket these days that you can reference. So.
Oh yeah. No, I do believe like I'm not against education, so I don't want people to think that. But like you said, with, I've got 2 teenagers and the youngest one is like, why do I need to go through algebra and geometry? I'm like, because it's teaching you how to solve problems. Because he wants to own his own business and do whatnot. I'm like, that's all you do all day is solve problems. That's it.
Yeah. And that's a great skill to have if he wants to own his own business, because entrepreneurship is foundationally solving problems for folks. That's how you'll be successful. So yeah, just keep telling him it's all about learning how to solve problems and figuring it out on your own.
Well, I'm gonna let you tell him that. Because right now, he's 15, so he's a lot smarter than I am.
Yeah.
And he's
naturally
figured it all out, and I'm pretty dumb.
Oh boy, teenagers. Gotta love them.
Yeah, I've only crashed more businesses than he started. So
have you gotten him started with door knocking, and does he have like a lawn mowing service, or what kind of
to do the lawn mowing thing? And I'm like, cool. I said, who you have a lawnmower?
Right.
Well, you got one, Dad. I'm like, oh, well, that's going to cost you.
This is called capital.
Like, what? And I was like, I had to buy a new lawnmower. I financed it. It cost me $150 a month. Mm-hmm. I will charge you $150 a month to use it.
First lesson in business.
Well, that's crazy. I'm like, dude, we got a neighborhood full of people that probably would love to let some young teenager cut their yard for him.
Just tell him, figure out now how many customers he needs in order to finance $150 a month.
That's all I told him. I was like, dude, if you get 5 a week, after a week and a half, everything you make is profit. Plus whatever gas you need. I mean, you're going to need gas to fill it up. I'll let you use my weed eater in that $150, my blower in that $150. I mean, I'll let you use it all for $150 a month.
Yeah. What kind of leadership questions do you often get from your teenage sons?
None. I don't know anything.
Are they involved much in what you do?
They are. I get them to show up to events and what have you.
Very good.
But like it's one of those whenever you're like when they were younger, like that's how I got the whole podcast started.
Oh, really?
So about 4 years ago, they finally convinced me to do short form videos. So TikTok and whatnot, because we used to race motocross. We were in competitive golf. So you do a lot of, you're on the road a lot. And so we would listen to audiobooks and we would talk
a lot about of John Maxwell.
Yeah, just a little bit about John Maxwell. And actually with them, I didn't listen to a whole lot of Maxwell. He can be quite a bore if you're young. Like I love it. So like, I don't want it to, I mean, that's why I went and got certified and became a certified Maxwell leadership coach.
Yeah.
But like for them, I would do a lot more of Andy Andrews, John Gordon, Patrick Lencioni, Inky Johnson, Eric Thomas. Who was? We would like Mel Robbins. You know, I was like, who else did I would go through and listen to? That just because they tell more stories, they talk more. It's a little bit more fascinating for a younger person to hear the stories behind it.
Absolutely.
Whereas John's more, and here's the concept.
Yeah. Application. Yeah, for sure.
And that's what I love. But yeah, to be able to just go through and talk. So they actually got me started on this because they were like, just put it on videos, do short, like you should start recording these as TikToks, do these lessons you give us as TikToks. And somebody reached out, and after I started posting videos, like, you should start doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And the rest, they say, is history.
And here we are today.
Here we are. I don't know what episode this is now because I batch record them, but I know it's over 100. It's the best one. It is. Just don't tell Caitlin because she likes to think all of her episodes are the best ones.
They're all good. I've watched quite a few of them. There's good lessons in all of them for sure.
It is. And that's where it kind of got me going. I like talking about leadership with other people and other leaders. And
absolutely.
How do you how do you go about handling this? How do you go about handling that? Well, I would have done it like this. So I think it's fun to do that. And people get to see they're not alone. They're not alone in this journey.
For sure. Yeah. And one of the other things that is a reason we started Pinks was we wanted to bring in young people and start developing, the leadership skills in young people. And it's just so important, I think, for people to feel like they belong to something, like you said, that they're not alone, and that they're learning leadership skills, communication skills, customer service skills, skills that would translate, they can use them, yes, at Pinks with window cleaning, but that will serve them for the rest of their lives. And so, just starting with young people and developing them as leaders is a huge part of our mission as well.
Absolutely. And then it reminded me while I was looking through that questionnaire too, one of the questions I had, you said leadership starts with seeing people. So what does it actually look like to make people feel seen?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think it's about recognizing their value, their potential, the dignity in them, and listening to them. We try to have check-ins with our guys at least once a month, informally, just to get feedback. I think that's a huge part of leadership as well, is just, asking for feedback about how things are going. You can't assume that because you're the leader, you're doing everything right. I think it's so important to seek out like, hey, is this working for you? Is this not working for you? Tell me, like, I'd love your input about how we can make improvements. I'd love your I'd love your, give me feedback about what we can be doing better. And how we can make improvements. And I think just giving, our guys too, the opportunity to be at the table with us and make business decisions with us, is a great way to encourage their growth as well. And it's a great opportunity for them.
A quick thank you to our premium sponsor, Hubbard Flooring Studio. Whether you're upgrading your floors, refreshing a room, or adding custom blinds to complete the look, Vicky and her team are committed to quality workmanship and exceptional service. Learn more at hubbardflooringstudio.com or call 225-924-1582. Let's get back to building better leaders. Mm-hmm. And so why do you think most leaders miss that though? Because I loved how you said it. It's about giving them dignity. It's about, what was the word you used? Showing their value. I was like, their value. I was like, hold on, what did she say? I'm drawing a blank. Think, Aaron. And then so why do you think most leaders miss that?
Yeah. I think that it's probably because a lot of times, like, and we try to be conscious of this. And I know I'm guilty of it in other aspects of my life, but you start getting into this, routine where you're just going through the motions and you're like, okay, get a quote out, go do the job, get paid. And you're just kind of going through the motions and you forget about what the bigger purpose is and what the bigger picture is. And that's why it's so important to like build, well, in our opinion, that culture into everything that we do, is to make sure that we're never losing sight of what our purpose is. We have a Monday morning meeting every week where I always do a culture lesson. And oftentimes it's all about like how to serve the customer better, how to grow in what you're doing, how remembering to make progress over being perfect, lessons like that, so that we're always remembering, like, we're not just going through the motions here. We're trying to get better. We're trying to serve people better. We're building relationships with folks. We're strengthening our community.
Yeah. And that's so important too, how you'd said it. Remembering they're more than just workers. They're people. That's one of the things that I'd said, like in my book, the people, they have so much more outside of just work. Like I don't live just to go to work. There are other things I like to do. So trying to learn, hey, what are y'all doing on this and that is awesome. And
you never know. I mean, if you don't ask your folks, what they're doing outside of work, they could have a skill that you have no idea about, that you're like, oh my gosh, how can we incorporate that into what we're doing? We have one of our guys is super into comic books, and I don't know if he's the best drawer, but I'm like, how can we, could we do like a Pink's comic, and could we incorporate that into like the goodie bag that we leave our customers or something like that, so that it has
would be awesome.
Real, like a real personal touch to what we leave behind, and to make real connection with our customers. So yes. Yeah, you got to ask the questions.
Because not all superheroes wear capes. Sometimes they wear Pink's outfits.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. We got to get a blue collar superhero comic strip going, and that would be awesome.
Yeah, do it. I love it. The other one that you had talked about was, as a leader, we don't always get it right. And that was when I always joked about with my teams is, look, I'm never wrong. I might not always be right, but I am never wrong. And so that's what I've always enjoyed continuing to tell people is,
oh yeah. Like, we definitely, that is one thing that we try to model in our leadership is, look, I will admit to you guys when I make a mistake. I will admit to you guys when I don't know the answer to something. Taking ownership and, having, I like to call it, confident humility, where I am confidently able to tell you that I made a mistake or that I did something wrong or that something didn't go exactly the way that I wanted it to. And I just think that's so important to be able to exemplify for the folks that you're leading because, to your point, not everything I say and do is right. And I think it's important to model that.
Yes, but you're
Leaders
never wrong.
can make mistakes too. Ownership, though, ownership of those mistakes is really important.
It is. It really is. And I think that was the one thing I know you'd put it in yours was talking about owning what you do, owning how things go about and just owning what happens. And it's important because if you don't own what you do, you can't lead somebody in the right, and people, they ultimately lose respect for you because you can't be right about everything. It's just not possible.
Yeah, that's right. I think another mistake that a lot of leaders can make is to not remember, like they get to a certain success point and they don't remember the team that helped them get there. So that's the other thing is like, we always tell our team, like, you guys are in this with us. We're all learning together. And, I try to recognize them for everything that they do to help us, make the business better and, and make the business successful. So, I think recognition of your team is also a super, super important thing.
Yeah. Well, and so like that was kind of, I'm almost wondering, like, do you have like my notes that like I was of questions of other things? Because that was actually one that I'd wrote down was,
that's my superpower, Aaron.
What's that?
That's my superpower.
I'm going to go put on my tinfoil hat. But because while you were going through and talking about it, I was like, ooh, I bet, she's probably run across like bad leaders and good leaders. And so I think sometimes you learn more from the bad ones than you do the good ones.
Totally.
So like, what's something that you have initially chosen not to do that because of something you've seen?
Yeah. I think probably the point we just talked about, which is, not recognizing the team that has helped you get to the point that you are. It's just so important to remember that, like, even though you might be leading the charge on something or leading the culture, it's just important to get back to, who helped you get to where you are and that it's everybody's input and everybody's impact that's making the difference. But again, that's another reason why it's so important to have your team on board with your culture. We're not just Pink specifically. We're not just here to clean windows or to soft wash someone's house. We're here to serve. We're here to make the customer feel seen and taken care of, and to build trust and build relationships and build that real human connection.
And so if, let's say, somebody isn't on board with the culture, you're talking about it's important to have your team have the culture. Like, what do you do to help somebody or who's maybe not on board with where you're trying to go with the culture?
Yeah, I think fundamentally, that's the number one thing that we screen for when we're hiring. So we don't hire for, if you've had previous window washing experience. Like we can teach you the technical skills. We're hiring based on if you have a service mindset, if you have a growth mindset, if you're coachable, based on what your values are and how you see yourself fitting into like the larger community. So that's fundamentally like the most important thing for us is, are you on board with kind of the core values and the culture of Pinks, if you're going to be on the team.
So like, let's say you see that in me. So you bring Aaron on. And I mean, obviously you would never have any troubles with me as an employee. You'd probably have the most you ever had. But like, let's say I was like, you get me on and I'm not just buying into the culture. Like what do you do to help me get into that culture?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just repetition of, like I said, we try to touch on some sort of cultural aspect of the company at every team meeting, which is once a week. We're constantly reminding our guys about, customer service and going above and beyond. We are in the service industry. Like, it is important to serve our customers and, just re-engaging all of our core values and talking about those. They should just be ingrained in every aspect of what we do. And so, we talk about them a lot.
Today's episode is brought to you by TrueScaler. Search is changing. Customers aren't using Google anymore. They're asking AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity for recommendations. TrueScaler helps businesses show up in those AI-generated answers through generative engine optimization, so your company is easier to discover when it matters most. Learn more at TrueScaler.com because the future of search is already here. Now back to the conversation. Yeah, and then, I mean, I guess, at what point do you decide that, hey, Aaron shouldn't be a part of my culture anymore?
Yeah. Well, we actually haven't had, we've not come across that yet. So,
kudos.
That's a difficult question, for me to answer because luckily, knock on wood, we haven't had an issue with that yet. But, I mean, I think that if there is, a scenario where somebody isn't living out the culture, we would probably have to have a difficult conversation with them. And that's okay. Like, the service industry isn't for everyone. We always say that we want Pinks to be like a jumping off place for folks. We know this isn't probably going to be a forever job for most folks. But we want it to be a place where you're learning skills and you're building character and, that you're able to build character that's going to serve you in your next job and also for the rest of your life. And so I hope that some of the core values that we're instilling into our employees now are going to help them, forever.
Right. And I think you guys are doing a great job with that. If you're hiring first based off of personality and their core values, I can teach you a whole lot of I can teach you technical skills. If I can't teach it to you, I can find a class to help teach you what I need you to know. But finding the right person of character is not always an easy thing to do.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yep. Hire slowly, fire fast, I think is what they say.
Yes.
So, yep.
I'm a very proficient firer. I mean, I'm almost up there with old Donald Trumpster.
You say you're fired a lot?
No, I did. Very early on, yes. Because if they could do it, let's bring them in. Well, you can't do this. You got to go.
Yeah, and I think that's another. I mean, that just reminded me. It's one of the reasons why I love being in business with my husband Jason. I mean, we see things differently. We have different perspectives on things. And one of the reasons why I married him and was, fell in love with him in the first place is because he and I challenge each other on our perspectives. We really like to have debates about, different perspectives and different thoughts on topics. And having a business, like, it can make for maybe a difficult business relationship sometimes, when you don't see eye to eye on everything. But in the end, I think it makes us a better business partnership. And, it really makes us slow down and really think through all of the things that we're considering. And like you said, in hiring, like, we really have to talk about, like, what aspects of a person's character are we hiring for, and what's important and what takes priority. And it's a wonderful thing to have in a business partner, somebody who doesn't just agree with you on everything, or isn't just like a total hype man all the time, but is asking you to slow down and consider. Because somebody who I'm extremely, like, optimistic and love to see the best in people, which I think is a good thing. I think Jason would argue that's a good thing too.
It's a great thing.
And I'm not saying that he's the opposite of that by any means, but, I think just as somebody who is probably a little bit more risk averse than I am, and who likes to, like, really slow down and be methodical and take his time making decisions, it's a good balance that we have.
Right. And that was what I was going to ask, is why is it so important to have those people around you who challenge your thoughts and your beliefs? And you semi-answered that for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes back to, you don't grow without challenge. You don't grow without being a little bit uncomfortable or doing the hard things. There is no growth in just being around folks that agree with you all the time. Like, back to what you had said earlier, it's so important to be in a room where you're not the smartest person in the room. 'Cause how are you going to learn anything if you're the smartest person in the room always? So, it's something that I fundamentally believe. Like, I think there's so much strength in having your perspective challenged and admitting when you're wrong and changing your mind. I mean, changing your mind means that you have to admit that you were wrong previously. And I just think that there's so much strength in that. I think today, for whatever reason, we've been conditioned to think that, changing our mind is like a weakness, because then you have to admit that you didn't know everything before. And I just fundamentally disagree with that.
Well, I mean, some people are wrong, but me, I'm never wrong. We established this earlier.
Established this. Yeah.
I just might not be right.
Right.
And I think it's important too, because where you touched on it was that we all have blind spots. Like, I can't see everything. I mean, right now, if I'm just looking forward, I can't see what's going on everywhere, but you could be like, hey, Aaron, if you just kind of look back over your right shoulder, there's those golf balls you were talking about. Like, oh, there they are. But I mean, looking forward, I can't necessarily see that, but you can see it because it's behind me and you're not behind me.
Yeah.
So it's important. And then, and you'd kind of, when you were talking about with the hiring and talking about mindset, one of the ones that you'd quoted in your questionnaire was Isadora Sharp. Excellence is the capacity to take pain. And so what does that mean? Like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. I mean, it means, that there is no growth without, consistently, like, having the discipline to consistently do hard things, is what that means to me. Is excellence doesn't necessarily mean, you're the most talented or you have the best ideas or, that you execute perfectly every time. Excellence to me means that you are doing hard things over and over and over again. And, that you have the discipline to do that.
Yeah. And so as we're kind of getting close to time, one that I believe is I believe that all leaders are readers. Not all readers are leaders, but leaders are learners. They're constantly evolving. They're constantly learning. And so what would be one book that you would recommend all leaders or entrepreneurs read?
Oh boy. I don't know if I have just one, but I think I wrote down, for entrepreneurs, the E-Myth was a big one for me. It just helped me realize, kind of what I was getting into with entrepreneurship. So if, for anyone, for your son who's thinking about potentially starting a business, that's a great book to read, to learn a little bit about what challenges you might expect with entrepreneurship. And then
so what was the biggest takeaway you had from E-Myth?
Oh boy. I think just, what the different aspects of business ownership you need to look at, and, that there might be folks that are good at looking at the present and, getting into the nitty gritty and getting into all the details and like the operational and whatever. But you also need somebody who has vision and can look ahead, and who really sees like where the business is going and how to scale if you want to scale, and stuff like that. So just kind of realizing like what different, people you might need to have on your team, or if it's only you, all the different things that you need to consider that are, for going into business. So, and then for leadership, I love Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. It kind of goes back to, again, just like recognizing that there's a team behind you always, and that, you should recognize your team and know that that's who helped you get to where you are.
I want to take our relationship to the next level. Let's become social media friends. Follow me at Coach Clark Leadership, and let's keep the conversation going in between episodes. Now let's get back to the connection. Absolutely. Now, what about maybe something either you're currently reading, just finished reading, or like currently learning and working on?
Yeah. Well, I am currently reading, or I actually just finished reading, Every Good Endeavor by Timothy Keller. Have you read that one?
I have not.
Okay. It's a great book. It's really about how, God serves people, actually how God loves people through others' hard work. And I just love that message because like, I feel like, that's what we're trying to do with Pinks, is we're trying to love others through our work and bless others through our work. So, and it's also about like how everybody's hard work, like nobody's work is better than anybody else's, and that's another thing that, of course, with Pinks being, a blue collar
I don't know.
business.
My work is a lot better than everybody else's. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yep. I love it. Yeah. I mean, it is about that. It's about, everybody's work is important, and love others through your work, which I know you do with your leadership training.
Oh yeah. And that's why, I mean, if you don't know me, you would be like, oh, well, that jerk. But I mean, I totally don't believe that there is anything that I do that is more special than what anybody else does as far as leadership training and development. It's all about the team. That was when I was coaching, I had 3 team rules. Rule number 1 was always protect the team. So everything you do affects everybody that's part of the team. Rule number 2 was no whining, no complaining, no excuses. Not saying, hey, you're not allowed to do this, but watch how you talk, because how you talk is going to determine what we do. And then rule number 3 was always be early.
Yep. That's one of our core values as well. We show up on time, which really means 10 minutes early.
Yeah. That's what I was preached all growing up playing. Hey, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're forgotten.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. So, another practice that I've been doing that I love that isn't related to anything that I'm working on. But I've been getting into or getting back into handwritten notes. And one of the things that I found recently was that, handwriting as opposed to like typing, on a computer, is so good for building like connections between like muscle memory, your brain, muscle memory. And I found an article that said that, especially for older folks, to just, it's basically like a dementia preventative, but to be writing by hand. And so one of the things I've been doing with my parents since they're still back in Colorado is I've been writing notes back and forth to them, letters.
Okay.
And encouraging them to write me back because, they're getting older. I'm kind of like documenting what's going on with the business. I'm getting to hear about what they're doing in retirement. And I know, obviously one day they won't be around anymore. And I'm sure those will be very sentimental and a treasure that I'll keep forever, to have those handwritten notes. So, yeah.
No, that is good. Cause that's one thing I've encouraged a lot of my clients to do is to journal. That not or typing away on this bad boy. No, actually journal. But then, and it doesn't need to be anything more than just like, you know what, today sucked. No sales, 20 service calls, nothing. And it could just be just a quick boom, 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 boom. But put it down. Because then 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road, it is fun to look back and be like, I can't believe I was worried about that.
Yeah.
I can't believe I thought this about that person.
Yeah.
But your kids can go back and look on it later in life and to be able to go, look at that.
Yeah, look at what my dad was struggling with too. Yeah. Like I have those same struggles to your point about not being alone, I think it's great to be able to look back and be like, wow, yeah, I'm not the only one who had those worries.
Mm-hmm. And it's so, because then you can be able to reference back, and it's like you'd said, I've come to I've sat down and have recorded a lot of stuff with my mom's father. So my pawpaw. And then I've recorded with my grandmother, just trying to, hey, take me through, tell me more. How did this happen? Well, who was your parent? Because most of it's not written down. So having that, and I think that ties well back into everything that you've said. It's about creating connection. It's not about cleaning windows or selling valves or leadership services or whatever. It's about connection. It's about, that's how we thrive as human beings.
Absolutely.
With each other.
Yep.
And so, Julia, if anybody wants to reach out to you guys, how do they get in touch with you?
Sure. Well, they can find us on our landing page on pinkswindows.com. And just navigate to East Baton Rouge, put in your zip code. There's a really easy way to do that. And you can also find us on Facebook, Pink's Windows East Baton Rouge. Yeah, feel free to shoot me an email, julia@pinkswindows.com. Those are all good ways to get a hold of us. Of course, look for the van and the phone number on there. And it's also on my hat.
Yes. And guys, we'll put all of that down below. I don't know about you. Like, I can't see it. That's, you're talking about helping things with old people and dementia, the handwriting. It's way too small. I've now gotten old and broke down and bought me a pair
of some readers. Love it, Aaron.
Yeah.
I'm sure you look good in those.
But don't tell anybody that. It'll be our secret. Awesome. Well, Julia, I appreciate you getting on, sharing your story, sharing your heart, and talking about all the different stuff we've said. It's been a wonderful time, and look forward to
so much
doing more in the future.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
What a great conversation with Julia LaRose. I love the reminder that leadership isn't about a title. It's about serving people, building relationships, and creating culture where others can grow. We talked about the importance of hiring for character, staying humble enough to keep learning, and embrace the challenges that help us become better leaders. If this conversation encouraged you, be sure to share it with another leader, business owner, or entrepreneur who could benefit from hearing it. And then remember to subscribe to the Clark Connection podcast and connect with us on social media. You'll find us at Coach Clark Leadership. And then remember, you don't need to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So keep leading, keep learning, keep connecting, and I will see you on the next episode of Clark Connection Podcast. Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast. If today's episode added value to you, do me a favor, follow the show and share it with someone who needs it. You can connect with me at my website, coachaclark.com, or on social media at Coach A. Clark. All the links are in the description. Until next time, keep leading, keep growing, and keep connecting.